Hi everyone, Dr. Nemechek here. I want to go over a little case study about a boy named Jackson and how rifaximin can help and what happens if you run out of rifaximin. And so just a quick review, rifaximin is a non-absorbable antibiotic with a very particular effect in that it only targets these type of bacteria in the colon, which I call fish, but the only thing it can do is it only works in the small intestine. It doesn't work in the colon. So the only thing it can really do is treat this condition called SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. All right. Now, let's get to Jackson. So Jackson's 9. He starts the protocol, and we're doing just inulin, fish oil, olive oil, just basic protocol. Very good response. He had diarrhea most of his life. That resolves in a matter of weeks. And with that, mom is noticing more awareness, more comprehension. His language is developing. He had some pretty bad anxiety and OCD. That's getting better. Hyperactivity, impulsivity is getting better. Very obvious to mom, very obvious to the people at school. Then some unfortunate things happen. The family's house burns down. Very traumatic to Jackson. And mom reports that the diarrhea returns. And his gains start to reverse. What that's telling me there is that, so he was like this, we put him on inulin, that made him like that, he's doing really well. Inflammation, leaky gut go away. And for some reason, the emotional trauma, and what can happen is injuries to the brain, and they can be physical or emotional or inflammatory, but emotional trauma can cause substantial slowing of the small intestine, and that can make the situation such that maybe the inulin isn't potent enough to control SIBO, and that relapses. And I think that's what happened here. So now we have relapse, and again, not just overgrowth, he's got leaky gut, okay? Because that's where you get all the inflammatory stress going on. Now, poor little kid, now he breaks his forearm in a department store. And it was just a silly kind of an accident, but he ended up breaking his forearm. Now, after that, fearful of going into different places and buildings. Then mom gets COVID and is hospitalized for about a week. First time he's been separated from mom. Very traumatic issue. And after this, he obsessively just talks about doctors and hospitals. And that was building up a little bit after the fracture, but it became really prominent after mom's illness. And as I mentioned, inulin failure more than likely, and so we switched him over to continuous rifaximin. Good news, get a great response from rifaximin. Now again, just so people say, well, how do you know I have leaky gut or SIBO, this overgrowth stuff? How do I know I have that? Because the only thing rifaximin can do is fix that, like that. Okay, there is no good test to do this. But of the tests we have, just the clinical improvement is a stronger proof in favor of SIBO than anything else you might do. Okay, so put them on. What do we see? Speech starts building again. Receptive language is improving. Stimming, OCD are lessening. Still fearful of places he's never been before. Still obsessively talking about doctors. Then they run out of rifaximin. Now this happens with people. I mean, they got a lot going on. The house burns down, and there's a lot of pieces here. And then just sometimes the trouble with shipping. Shipments get lost or get picked up by customs. So they run out of rifaximin. Meltdowns are increasing. Anxiety is increasing. Again, no longer, still can't enter stores or buildings. And then so we finally get him. And so what you're seeing here is when you get control with rifaximin, If you stop, the majority of the kids relapse very quickly. And again, that's because of this slow motility I'm talking about. And it's very common. So you may see slow motility in the small intestine. You may not notice that, but where it's evident in the kids is they're also having slow motility in the large intestine. That's why they have so much constipation problems. They come together, okay? So restart, they run out, everything's getting worse. Restart the Rifaximin, happiest he's ever been. And Mom said it was really kind of like just awesome, blossoming very quickly. So he whatever was overgrowing was really suppressing him in a bad way. Calmer, more talkative, like inserting himself into conversations, wanting to be into conversations, starts scootering, doing video games with neighborhood kids who he was afraid to deal with before, gets this interest into music and different kinds of music, hip hop and things like that, wants to help with chores around the house, and finally is able to stop talking about doctors and his health, and on occasion he's able to go into stores again. So he's still in this improvement phase, got rid of the therapist, and the strategy for the stores is if he's having a good day, he can go in. If he's not ready for it, don't go in, and that will eventually completely go away. And so just to review this, this is why so many of the kids need continuous Rifaximin, even versus monthly. I don't ever use monthly anymore because it just didn't work as well and as continuous. We aren't getting the suppression. We aren't getting the control of inflammation, which is the key here. So a great story, some unfortunate things in here, but really demonstrating the resilience of a child's nervous system to bounce back from all these traumas and things like that. So love stuff like this, and I thought you would too. Everybody, have a great day. Take care.